Oh, welcome to Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live, a little bit past 3 p.m. on the East Coast. So glad that you're with me today. It's been a while since I've been having some Libertarians on, and I'm happy to have them on today. We can see that it's not just the presidential candidates that matter. They do matter. You should pay attention. But they aren't the only people who matter. People who are running locally matter. People who are running at the federal level, the state level, people who are running at the county level, all over, they all matter. And people often tell me, Larry, wait a minute. You know what? All you ever talk about your presidential candidate, blah, 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 blah. Well, other people are doing cool things too. And I have someone with me today, someone who is really trying to make things happen in his state, the great state of Washington. He is running for Senate over there. The man himself, Ryan Searcy. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Larry. How you doing?
I am doing awesome. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're trying to make impact. And for those of you who want to see what Ryan is doing, you can. You can just head over to risewithryan.com and you will see what he's doing and what he's trying to make happen in his state. So, Ryan, I have to ask you this question. There are many ways for people to make impact in the liberty movement, running for office, doing other things, activism, so-and-so, different offices. You've chosen to run for Senate in Washington state. Why that?
That's a good question. Thank you for asking. So the reason why I chose Senate is it is a big race. It can shed a big light across all the communities in Washington state. And the biggest reason was actually my children. I wanted them to see that, their father truly did care, had compassion about what was going on. And I didn't want them to see that all that our elected leaders was just negative towards each other. I wanted to bring a positive light and say, you know what, we can actually run a campaign and say, hey, we can make positive change, have positive growth, positive transformation without saying, well, look what he did, look what he didn't do, or look at how I say it better. It's all about creating a ripple for our future, and our children are our future.
So Senate, you felt, if I get it right, you think Senate was the biggest you could run for that would make the biggest impact out there. Did I read you right?
Yes, and that's correct. The reason why I chose that, not only did it have a big light, but it was going to project itself across the entire country, not just the state. So I could have an impact there as well.
I like that you're talking about impact. So this is a hard part for us as libertarians in general, any third party to be forward, but clearly I'm a biased libertarian, but this goes for any third parties. We struggle with, how do we deal with the race that's almost always going to be thought of as Democrats versus Republicans? That's how most people think. So let me ask you, what does your race look like? I don't know your race very well. Is this where, Democrats dominate, Republicans dominate, 50-50? Who's running against you? Other third parties involved? What does your Senate race look like?
So my race is basically, it's going to look like, Democrats and Republicans are going to run together or against each other. And typically in Washington state, it's a Democrat win. Unless you go to smaller counties, then it's different at that point.
Got it.
However, so
you're running against, in your case, in your race, this is kind of against Democratic establishment. Is that right?
It is. However, it's against both at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, what we're doing here is we're giving the people of Washington state and we're showing the people of the United States that we have the opportunity to actually choose more than one of two parties. It's not a 50-50.
Will other smaller parties be running also, or are you kind of the only non-duopoly candidate?
So I know in past elections, we've seen libertarian candidates run, and we've also seen independent candidates run. In Washington state, you can actually run under whatever party you choose. It doesn't matter if you get nominated. So there will be multiple people or parties on that ballot.
Got it.
At least for the primary.
Okay, so your primary is an open primary, meaning anyone can go in and vote for anybody. And what, the top two make it to who makes it to the top?
Correct. Just the top two in the primary make it to the general.
Got it. Okay, so you have to get into the top two, then you get into the general election.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, so that's clear. I got it. So the last time someone, I assume Democrat, you told me usually wins, Democratic Party usually wins this in this case. Do you guys usually have two Democrats like California has that, or is it usually a Democrat and somebody else?
It's usually a Democrat and a Republican.
There we go. Okay, so your job in this case probably is then, I guess, to beat the Republican out. So it'll be a Democrat versus you in the general. Will that be your goal? Did I read that right?
Yeah, that would work. I mean, in the best outcome would be beat the Democrat in the primary, and then it's me and the Republican. So
That works too. Yeah, look, right. I don't care which way you make it. I don't care if it's you and everyone else drops out and there's no election and you just win. Okay, yes, I'll take whatever. So yes, I'm in either way. I got it. So let me ask you. I mean, you're running out of a federal. It's forced the state, but it's a federal election. There are so many nationwide issues. You could probably sit here and talk for 6 years on all the issues. Please don't kill us and do that. I'm going to ask you instead. Can you give me like the top 2 or 3 issues you're kind of running on of all the things you could be running on? What are the top 2 or 3?
Yeah, so top 2, I would say are immigration, human trafficking, and well, I guess the third one would be energy independence.
Okay, so immigration, human trafficking, energy independence. All right, I like those 3. All right, so in this case, the immigration piece, I don't feel, I'm an outsider here, right? So, but I feel like Washington State, not a big issue with immigration. Am I wrong here?
So, I mean, really, as a whole, it's affected as the country's affected as a whole, right? It's not just one scale by itself. So that's why I was like, hey, Washington State, I can make the biggest impact if I run for a federal spot, because we don't just make decisions based on our state. We make decisions for, the whole country.
Sure. Got it. Okay. So then tell me, what's the change? What do we do about immigration? What's your policy?
So it actually, it ties in with trafficking as well. But with immigration, we're going to do what's in like an Ellis Island style immigration system, have 2 or 3 ports of entry. We get have people come to those ports of entry. They'll get vetted. There'll be a process that they'll go through. We'll probably have private companies operate that because the federal government is already stretched thin as they are with what they're doing.
Yes.
And how long they're, right?
Wait a minute. You're having a solution that does not include more taxation? What? Oh my God.
There's more solutions to come with that, actually. So.
I love that. I'm not complaining. But so then that kind of links together. I think most people think that links together with human trafficking. Does it in your mind? Does immigration link in your mind, or are they 2 separate issues?
It does. And at first I had a challenging time connecting the dots. I had an idea, but then I had an interview with somebody from like Operation Underground Railroad, and it was great talking with them about this. And then I saw how the 2 connected. Yeah, so it does, because when it comes to the southern border, there's more traffic across the southern border than there is the northern border. However,
sure, makes sense.
Either way, it's bad. You just have what looks like a area that's not monitored as much. So people get to freely cross without knowing who those people are, why they're with them, or what they're doing, which I get as a libertarian. We all want to be free and do as we please. However, when it's hurting people, it's not okay.
Mm-hmm. No. There's 2 parts that I want to bring up to this. One is, I think most people don't think about a northern border, right? Mm-hmm. They don't. They always think, and look, I'm in New York, northern border. You're in Washington, northern border. We both border Canada. Like, so I get it. But most people only think about southern border. So I'm glad you brought that up. There is a northern border too, right? There are 2 of them. That's true. But the other piece that you're bringing up, which I think is interesting, is the idea that, trafficking isn't voluntary. So it's okay to be against trafficking as libertarian, right? It's not voluntary, right? People are being, or if it is voluntary, it's fraudulent. Because sometimes people, as I'm sure you know this, they think they're coming over for X, but they're really getting trapped into Y. So either way, it's non-voluntary. It's at worst, at best, it's fraudulent. At worst, it's openly, coercive, violent, right? At worst, but at best, it's fraudulent. So I completely agree with that piece. Okay, so that's where you're walking down that road. I get you. So how do we fix that piece? You gave me the idea for immigration. How do we deal with the human trafficking, which I know is popular with that movie? What's the Sound of Freedom? Was that the movie?
Yeah. Actually, it was
We're talking about it left and right now.
Yeah, I don't like saying it was a good movie because it was a great movie to raise awareness. However, it is a good movie with that. Just it sheds light on a very dark part of humanity that we all, which I feel like we all collectively aren't aware of. So
got it. Okay, so I just call it a popular movie. See, there way I covered it, right? I just said popular.
You covered all of it.
There we go. So yes. So with that in mind, how do we deal with that? Is this a Vivek Ramaswamy idea where we go bomb Mexico, right? How do we fix that one? So, by the way, I just made the Vivek fans mad at me now for saying that. I just made them mad. But it's fine. They'll give me comments. So it's all good.
Yeah. Yes. So one way that we can go about that, if we're looking at the southern border of itself, is so you have the ports of entry, right? The Ellis Island style immigration.
Sure.
But there's an opportunity to create immigration offices working with other countries like Mexico or any more southern countries, where we could put an immigration office there, and there are now, I guess we could call them like pillars of hope or pillars of light, however you want to look at it, as far as a beacon for somebody bringing themselves here in the legal ways, the ways that show that they're not a criminal. So they have these opportunities throughout the countries that they can go there, talk to those people, go through the process, and then they get.
So hold on. So what you're saying, if I get this right, you're saying that this stops the fraudulent trafficking, because now the people won't want to use the coyotes anymore. They won't want to use these people anymore. So they will instead either go to an Ellis Island or go to one of those other places that's local to them and say, I don't want to be trafficked, but I do want to go to the States. Is that what you're saying?
What I feel it'll actually do is it'll put a bright like red dot on those who want to commit illegal or crimes against humanity.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So those who want to actually enter the United States as a legal citizen, they have the means to do so. If we have somebody that's not going through the port of entry that they should, then we can be like, what's going on here? Who are you? Why do you have all these kids, or why do you have all these women? I mean, really, with that, women and children are disproportionately affected.
Sure, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So this puts a spotlight so that the people that we have now can focus on the trafficking aspect and not be the babysitters that they are now in many cases.
True. Yes.
Got it. Okay. So let's go to energy then. You said energy independence. Now you're going to make a lot of people scared. That you're going to be like, just drill, baby, drill. You know, people are going to, and I'm okay if you're there with that. I'm just asking, you're going to get people now be like, wait a minute, he's now drill, baby, drill. Tell me, Ryan, are you drill, baby, drill? What are we doing?
So when I say energy independence, it's opening U.S. energy production and allowing for freedom to create alternative energy resources. It's not just about digging those mines that, harvest the lithium for the batteries or drilling for oil. It creates opportunity to actually clean up our planet. I believe it's Sweden who has they have a facility that's kind of like an incinerator, and only 1% of, it is Sweden. It's only 1% of Sweden's trash ends up in landfills. The rest is burned, created into energy or power, and that's about 52% is created in energy or power, and then the remaining is recycled. So it's an opportunity to look into. It could create a much cleaner environment, and we're not just wasting space with trash.
Okay,
we're wasting less space.
Guys, if you like what you're hearing, you can help out Ryan. You can help it to risewithryan.com and support him, see what he's doing. And look, if you live in Washington State, why aren't you supporting him? Do that. Support him in some way. If you got cash, throw him some money. In fact, do a couple bucks a month. Do it recurring so that he can now begin to budget himself as he's going out there and he's palm cards so he can hand out to people who he meets at the fairs and such, knocking on people's doors, giving stuff out, sliding underneath the doors, door hangers, all those types of things. He needs those. Every dollar you can put out does help. Plus, Facebook ads. He needs those too. So every little bit you can. But not just that. If you say, Larry, I like Ryan, but I don't have the cash. No worries. He needs volunteers, right? He needs volunteers. Volunteers in two ways. If you live in Washington, go with him, hang out with him, and shake hands and kiss babies with him. Do that. Knock on doors for him. All those things. If you don't live in Washington, you can still be his social media warrior. You can still be sharing and liking and all the things that matter, putting comments, telling people how awesome he is online. He needs all the help he can get, so help him out if you can. Let me grab a couple of comments if I could. We have a bunch of people here who are doing comments. Sarah asks, nuclear, is that part of your energy independence or no? I know a lot of people are against it. I think RFK Jr. is against it. Greens are 100% against nuclear. A lot of people are against nuclear. Where do you stand on that?
So that's actually funny because in my state, I noticed that they're wanting to clean up energy quite a bit. And I know like years ago, they wanted nuclear to disappear. Now I'm getting YouTube ads for Washington State wanting to promote nuclear energy. So when it comes to nuclear energy, I get that it's like a long-term source for energy. However, I'm not 100% on like how great it would be for our environment. So it's a possibility to look at, but it would definitely take some more research. You can't just jump on the bandwagon of nuclear energy without realizing the long-term effects.
I guess so. You're not sure yet on nuclear energy, but you're open to the idea of it, but you don't know details.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to possibilities of what it could produce for us. Yeah.
I got it. There we go. But Sarah is happy, though. She says, good afternoon, gents. Thank you for having this conversation and fighting for liberty, especially those who need us the most. Yes, that is true. So, yes. Oakley seems to know you. Oakley says, know Ryan personally. Love this guy and everything he stands for. So you do have some fans, Ryan.
Yeah. Oakley Baum is a great guy. I know exactly who that is. He's the
There we go. I like that. So Joe says Joe doesn't like top two. I agree with Joe. You got top two. It is what it is. But I don't like top two because California has top two. I really would rather have like top five or something, right? But we can get it. It is what it is. Joe says Florida had the top two garbage on the ballot a few years ago. Luckily, it didn't pass. Do you have an opinion on the actual system? I know you can't change it, but do you have an opinion on the current system?
So with top two, like I get where you guys are coming from that you don't like the top two because it seems like it limits people to go in and run for office all the way to the very end, right? And some people would be like, oh, the third party just creates a runoff. However, that's where I do like top two is you can't create a runoff. It removes that competition, and then it's just the one person running against you. So you don't have people stealing votes, so to say, for their own parties. You have
stealing votes.
Yeah, stealing votes to create that runoff to push a decision that the majority wouldn't like.
Okay. MP Max says, love the answer he's giving. Well, you got another fan. There we go. Rhonda says, way to think outside the box, Ryan. You're winning. There we go. You're winning. I like it. It's already good. We're doing good already. So let me then ask you the next piece then. This is a tough part also. And the tough part is, how are you going to make impact? Obviously, I hope you raise tons of money. We always do. We hope you get tons of volunteers. But now when it comes to fighting the big boys, fighting the duopoly, fighting Republicans, Democrats, you're going to be outgunned, right? We know this. You're going to be outgunned in money. You're going to be outgunned in bodies. That's true. It's how it works. All third parties get it, particularly us libertarians. We know it very well. How are you going to make impact even though you're going to be outgunned?
So I feel like my campaign's already making impact. Take my district, for example, 19th district in Washington State. We have candidates running along with me. We have both state representative spots filled, and they're ready to run for 2024. We have not U.S. Senate, but state Senate spot filled and ready to run 2024, as well as currently we have school board, somebody running for school board locally here in this district, and somebody running for city council currently. And we also have someone that's out of my district running for I believe it's water commissioner or
wow,
water commissioner. So it's spreading, and that's what's good. And all these people that are running are all about positivity. They don't. I know that word positivity seems so simple to say. However, if you look at what's going on between all the political theaters, it seems to be just negative or lies or talk arounds. So it's already spreading. The people that I've talked to in my district who are wanting to run, they're running with me, and they're going to continue to run with me until we win. And the win isn't just winning the spot. That's great. The win is spreading the message of liberty, peace, change.
Got it.
Authenticity, beauty. It's just, we got to create.
So you're saying you're making impact because it's not just you running, that you're having other people behind you and around you, and it's almost like a movement. Is that where I'm that's what I'm getting. Am I right?
Correct. It's all about long-term vision, short-term goals. Yeah.
There we go. So Lars Mapstead, he's watching. He says, "Go man, go!" Just sent you a donation.
Thank you.
Well, there
Appreciate
we go.
It. Thank you.
And you can get more, guys. You want to help him out? Do that. Follow Lars's awesome example. Head over to risewithryan.com. And again, if you've got the cash, please send it. If you don't have the cash, no worries. He needs volunteers. He needs both time and money. What do you have more of? Give him that. right? Give him what you have more of. You got more money than time, throw him a couple bucks. You got more time than money, go out there online and spread the word if you can. It does matter tremendously if you can do so. Every little bit counts, particularly if he has other people behind him moving forward also. So let me grab a couple of these. Matthias says, also know Ryan personally. Awesome man who was as true as his word as Captain America is. You are Captain America now.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Matthias.
I like that.
Appreciate that. Captain America.
I'll follow him anywhere. I like that. Very nice. I love that. Very good. Sarah jumps on board and says, Libertarians, we have to act at the ground level, local and loud. Absolutely. So Roger Meadows actually gives a $2 super chat. Thank you, Roger. He says, nuclear only if GovTown Co-op ran, no shareholder. Okay. I think he's talking about shareholder owned or co-op owned nuclear power plants. Actually, I love the idea of a power plant being owned by the local people. That's a good idea. I do like that concept. I don't know where you stand on that, but I get what he's saying. Imagine if you didn't have to have the government interfered, but the local people who would be worried about the local environment, they will be the ones who would own the power plant. That's not a bad co-op idea. I don't know. Where do you go? What do you stand on that?
That's interesting because, like he said, it makes them the shareholders, the citizens of however broad that is that's powered by, and they at the same time would reap the benefits not just in power but financially in that community of what that energy supply produces. So that's something to look into for sure. That's a good thought.
Yeah, I mean, then at least if there is any worry or concern about the local environment, it's those people who are in the environment making the decisions. And you would hope they would care about their own community, that they would make the right decision for their own community. You would hope, at least, right? That seems interesting point. Thank you for that, Roger. I do appreciate that. So let me go to something else if I could. Obviously, I hope you win. Of course. But we also know that third parties, Libertarians specifically, it's tough. We often lose. If you don't take the Senate seat, is there another metric that you would have, a measure that you would still say you've won? Is there some other way that you would measure a win besides just taking the seat? Again, obviously, hoping to take the seat. I want you to. Just realizing third parties, it's challenging to do so. If you don't, is there another victory?
Yeah, there is another victory, and that is seeing everybody that's running with me to continue to run. It's not just about that one win. It's about building the foundation of liberty in our state and spreading it out. So if I were to see people that were creating, positivity and they wanted to actually create something better for the future instead of continue to slander each other, then yeah, that's a win. We have positive changes, not negative changes. That's what it's about.
I like it. And I think that if you look at our movement compared to others and compared to us even in the past, it was very difficult for libertarians to kind of stay on board and keep moving forward. Usually some guy or gal runs, we go, oh, they're great. And then we never see him again, or they don't run again, or they go become a Republican or a Democrat or something like that. Or worse, we recruit a Republican or a Democrat. They show up for one election and then go back to being a Republican or a Democrat. So I think that happens too. But now I think more people are running and staying. We're having more of what you're talking about, that kind of, we're not losing as many people when it comes to the skill sets, the institutional knowledge. We're starting to keep a bit more of it, I think, than other parties. That's what I see. Do you see the same thing or no?
Yeah, I see that. And that's part of like the long-term vision, short-term goal. Short-term goal, let's build that foundation and spread it out. Long-term vision, my team is continuing to recruit. We all are dedicated, that I know, that are running currently, to continuing to run. So every donation is like an investment into the future. So
yes, yeah. It's funny you say that, right? So many people, donor burnout, volunteer burnout, candidate burnout, activist burnout. That's a real thing. And I think one of the reasons why we burn out is very often because we work hard or we give our money and then it's over. Versus what you're talking about, we work hard and we give our money and now we have something to show for it, right? That's what I like, right? That's the part that I like. So yeah. Ed says, to prevent human trafficking, it's going to be a challenge. how it will be planned in a way to prevent kidnappings and grooming before this stuff happens. And I think you kind of answered that. I think Ed might have come in late. I think you answered that, but you tell me if I'm wrong. What I got from your answer is that you want to shine a light on it and take our forces now that are dealing with, the average person crossing and focus them on the trafficking. Did I get that right?
Yes, there is more that we can do. Like,
okay.
I know when it comes to the education system, if I don't know if you remember back in the day, they had like the DARE program or
yes,
like
I remember
stranger danger type stuff. Like, we could create a curriculum that's age appropriate to educate children so that they know the dangers of trafficking. We don't have to get into like the real nitty gritties, but because they're children, but they need to know that, bad things happen in the world. And this is how you can be aware that something's happening. That's one pillar of light that we can.
So then like making it to where the kid or kids begin to kind of see, wait a minute, something's wrong here. Let me go talk to a parent. Let me go talk to, some authority figure in my life that I trust, right? Whether that's a teacher, parent, whatever the case. Some authority figure say, wait a minute, I think there's some grooming going on here. To have that comment. That's what you mean?
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
There we go. Sarah goes on to say, agreed, Hal. Hal is also saying something also. He says, that's why I follow Larry. He gives me ideas to bring back locally. Hal brought up an important point. He says, libertarians need to have a clear message free of sound bites and platitudes. And this is a point, Hal, I think you're right. I think one of the reasons why I do Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live, and I try to do it at least every couple of weeks, is I'm bringing on libertarians who actually will answer questions. If Ryan was a Democrat, all he would say is the Republicans are bad to every question. If he was a Republican, all he would say is, but Democrats are bad to every question. But in reality, you heard Ryan answer every question. You may not have liked his answer. You may have loved his answer. You may have agreed or disagreed. But either way, he answered the question. I think Hal is correct. And I think Sarah's correct. That's the piece. And of course, Joe is totally right. He says Republicans and Democrats are bad, though. He's right. They are. So, yes. So if you want to follow Ryan, if you like what he's saying, if you think you can help him out, head over to risewithryan.com. If you can throw a couple bucks his way, please do so. If you can volunteer, please do so. But either way, do me a favor and both of us a favor, click that like button. The like button matters. If you can share this, please do so. If you're watching this on Twitter, please retweet this right now so people can see this. It does help tremendously. Every little bit counts. So Ryan, let me ask, before we wrap this up, something I missed, something you want to bring up, something you want to say or promote before we go?
One thing that I did want to bring up is, even though I see like my opponent, she's voted in the past to, promote good things for trafficking. She's also voted for, donating to the war in Ukraine. And what a lot of people don't realize is that when a country is destabilized like that or is war torn, that is essentially like a breeding ground for traffickers. So,
ooh, I hadn't even thought of that. You're right. This is when the systems collapse. Now you've set it up. It's a breeding ground.
Yeah. So other than that, I'm here for the long run, regardless of whether I win or don't win as much. We're going to keep moving forward. And I love that you use that term, keep moving forward, because that's what my wife and I use as we've grown in our life together. So thank you, guys.
I love that completely. Excellent. Guys, if you want to check out Ryan, please risewithryan.com. Thank you all for watching. I will be on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. with yet another interview, and it should be interesting. If it's not, lie to me and tell me it is. I will see you all very soon.